Okay, the next topic is the change control system. Change control system means that when you are running a project, sometimes I need to change the project. So in the project steps, some steps are original design is one way, but the design needs to be modified, or depending on the condition, depending on the development of the condition, you have to change the method. You have to change the method. You have to change the schedule. You have to change the material usage. Therefore, now that I give you the how to make the distribution change process, how to make the distribution change process, how to establish the changing system, how to notify. So then those things have to be you have to draw out the system. So by making the changing, so the changing is sometimes required. Depending on the cost and the benefit analysis, depending on the priorities even depending on the assets and depending on the other assumptions, your process need to be eventually changed. So the changing process need to be smoothly handled. So the changing system should not impact on the development of the project. Changing system should not draw the development of the project. So this is the most important thing. So now I give you the changes and management system. So changing system is the main person responsible is the change coordinator. Change coordinator need to apply the change investigator. So investigators have to adjust the cost and benefit of the change. Need to do the assess. So before the change coordinator need to make a change, so he wants a new process. So he wants a new process. So developing a new process, he wants a new process. So this is a change. So in this case, the new process to doing the new process system, you have to either you do the new process or the existing process to be changed have to be decided. So that in this case, the change coordinator have to decide whether he change the current system, modify the current system, or develop the we consider to use the new system. He has to decide. So that if the change of coordinators it specifies that the changing the current process is the most possible, so he has to apply the change investigator. Because the project manager is maybe the management background, but when the technical change, the most responsible person, the person who effectively handles is the engineer. The engineer has to assess the situation, technical point of view, engineer has to assess. And similarly, the accountant has to assess the financial margin. So the change of coordinator is not always a necessity to do everything. He has to delegate the authority. So, for the technical view, he has to call the engineer, or for the financial view, he has to approach the accountant. So the change investigators will the technical or the accountant, he has to check the system. The cost and benefit analysis has to be checked. Okay, and now that this is possible, and the change is maybe go feasible, so in this case, I have to pass on. So the change pass on. So the change program they pass on to the process the owner. So the change coordinator may not be the process owner, maybe the main contractor, but the project owner will be the someone. So the project all the investigation effort have to report to the project owner. Okay, so project owner has to agree. So project owner agree that the change process, and this case I have to make a notification. The notification of the change of the acceptance needs to be informed to the project coordinator. So this is the way they have to play. So project coordinator has to decide whether he has to change and modify the current system or redo the new process. If he satisfied with modifying the current system or changing the current system is more beneficial, he has to apply the change investigator. And change investigator means the technical expertise or financial expertise. they have to assess the cost benefits analysis. And then those reports are passed to the project owner. The project owner agrees to the changing process. He has to notify me. He send the notification of the change assessment. And she has to inform the notification of the change assessment to the change coordinator. Okay, so everything that change, everything happens, so that we have to make the change organization. The change organization with the technical personnel, we have to do the change organization, so that here's the go ahead to. Okay, so this is the chain organizations are made as a chain request. So we have to generate the chain request. So in this case, the investigator and the real person who perform the chain may not be the same person. Investigator is the engineer, but chain person may be the technical person. They have to make the chain request. Okay, so chain request is that we have to then we have to inform you that chain organizer. So all the chain requests are making a thing so that the chain is a system. So this chain system will compromise. The chain system will comprise the description of the chain require priority benefits. So this is for the manager of the chain process. So in this case, in the trade-off system, we have to ensure that the right quality, right price, right prices, right time, and the right supplier has to be utilized. So this is important for the system. So in this case, indicate the supplier goals and the priorities, prior reputation, certification assessments are important for the assessing the quality of the goods and service. When we are running the project system, in this case, contracts need to be established. Contract means your project manager, so that you employ the technical people, so that there should be the established contract between your worker and you. So this is for according to the labor laws, the contracts are required. So in some industry, they do not establish that particular contract, but they have to follow the negotiated award conditions. So this is a minimum wages requirement. So depending on the industry, there are awards are established. So electrical industry awards, metal industry awards, all the metal industry awards are there with class C, 12, C, 11, C, 8 like this. So that depending on the jobs categories, we have to follow the appropriate kind of the award system. So this is the kind of the contract. So the contract are required to employ the people and not as well as to negotiate with the contractor. Contractor means the supplier. The suppliers are providing a good service, so that the project owner and project manager and the supplier need to establish the contract. So now I give you the flow diagram. How to establish the contract, what are the requirements of the contract, how to which process to be followed to determine the contract I express in this diagram. This is for the establishment of the contract. So firstly, we have to determine the requirement. So that before you employ someone, so the important one is whether you really need him or not. If you offer a job with $50,000, but you don't have a job, the people is regularly sitting, okay, 1 month, 2 months, all right. But 1 year, 2 years, the people who get the money also the insecurity. Because he do nothing and also you lose the money for nothing. So this is the why and another thing is that you offer the contract and you do, but you can't set the debt people. So debt people can sue you. So this is ways the establishment of the contract is very important. Before you employ someone or you enter any contract, you have to justify whether your job and your situation really need the people or not. So this is for the determine the requirement. Okay, so similarly for the you want to purchase something in this case, according to the government system, we have to follow the tender. Tender means that the government system, all the job advertisement is similar to the tender. All the here in New South Wales, all the job are formally advertised. Advertised means that this is the offer the tender. Tender so people we apply. There are people who go supplier. They apply for the tender, so they will provide a service. Similarly, the job applicant they offer the stay. So the tenderers they have to assess the individual applicant whether the his qualification appropriate to exposition or not, whether they are supplier product will meet the requirement or not. Those they have to be assessed. In terms of the technical requirement, in terms of the quality has to be assessed. So after this they assess the tenders or the bid on the due date. So sometimes I have to make the bid or the tenderized assess, so you have to shortly and assess the tender. And then you have to make the compare the merits of the each. So this supplier, two suppliers have to be, service has to be compared. So this is how they compare the merits of the each. So another thing is okay, so everything happens here, so the project manager can assess the tender, so they amend the calculation for the project final schedule, so this project have to be two tenders, job have to be the project have to be assessed, so in this case amend the calculation for the project final schedule. And after that, so have to establish the contract. Establish the contract means the project manager has to notify the finance department. He has to pay the price. Finally, the pay by the installment is common. So they can supply the this amount percentage to they pay the this amount. And after that, the project finish half online. So finish the project, they pay all. So those have to be the follow-up. So this is the establishment of the contract system. So when we are the establish of the contract system, in this case you have to control the system. Control the system means sometimes the project manager wants this one is a target, this is a milestone or objective, but the really is that this doesn't go well. Because of that, they want to finish the job in the 1 week, but after the 2 weeks the job is still only the halfway finished. So in this case, this is for the detect which ones are disrupted, which ones are holding at the project, which ones are drawing by the project, whether the technical the reason or the people reason, the people the process caused by the technical or the personnel, they have to determine the fault and rectify the fault, make the reaction, make the correction. So this is for the control system also required. So this is the ways that we are establishing the contract and the controlling the project. This is the ways of the project. This is the desired setup. It's required by the project manager. And project manager provide the supervision to the project team. Project team action the project. Sometimes it's a disruption happen. Disruption happens to who on the project or to solve the project. In this case, project manager need to detect. So that another so the output and the required output and the predetermined status need to be compare and the measure and the measurements project manager have to make any adjustment. So this means the project manager has to read that he starts with the all aspects because of the project manager can't spend the time in the office. Well, have to start with the all shop floor. Shop floor have to we go to the shop floor and discuss with the store with the different level, worker, different levels of employee. This is the important aspect of the manager. You just sit down in the office, you just the telephone, and you just a computer and talk to someone. Can't do like this because of the if you do, you are the different from the shop floor. So you will not really know what actually happening in your industry, your job. So this is why that in the Australia that you see that some laundry or the some store business, sometimes there's a customer demanding things so the owner himself can do the job. So this is the way that is mostly common in the here. So the this like working here, the two things is that all workers are also active because the owner himself is working, so all people cannot play around. We have to emphasize. And also that the owner himself know about who is working how, who is select that they know the situation. So this is the why that the project manager he has to be in touch with the NEP, he has to talk with the NEP, he has to discuss, he has to find out the fault, has to find a way. This is the important for the project control system. Project systems sometimes you have to use a quality manual. So every step of the project, every step of the manufacturing process they should have a quality manual, quality audit, the standard procedure. So because of to get the quality product, the quality control system and qualities are maintenance is very important. So depending on the kind of the job and each industry, they call it customize their program. What kind of quality require, what raw material require, what kind of skill will you require, how to establish, how to assess, how to detail, how to control. Those have to be included in the quality manual. So now I give you the flowchart diagram to how to prepare the quality manual. The qualities are flowchart. So the quality means that sometimes we have to change the document. So this is document change. So you have to request a change. Request a change and how the changes are impact on the quality system need to be assessed. So when the changing is make the positive improvement, in this case you have to approve the change. Changes we make the negative effect, so the change is not a good thing, so you have to reject it. So these are we also have to consider the document approval issues. Okay, so now that the document changing is a positive effect, so that we can approve the change and then you do the changes that use amendment. So issue the new procedure and the amendment procedure have to be recorded. And after that, new procedure and records are made, and after that, those new procedures we have to test. New procedure test, so that after the new procedure is testing it all right, and after that you have to destroy the old procedure. So and then communicate there's a change to the all people. So in this case, the changing process is a very important aspect. For example, I told you that in the Australian workplace relation system. So you know the work choice very well. Because in the Australia, we call the two industrial relation system, federal system, and the state system. So normally the state system and federal system, sometimes they are conflicting. So that the previous liberal government, they made the work choice. What I mean that they made the nationalize over all the uniform system. But this uniform system, they made their own requirement, and then they made the work choice. So work choice is a bad thing, so the people are even they drop the government by vote. So this is the why. So not all the things are changing is not always the positive. Sometimes changing, people will suffer the effect of the change. And similarly in the technical system, the changing can suffer the impact. That can make the negative impact on the production system. So that not all the times are changing is not a positive thing. So in this case, when you are changing, you cannot only that you cannot be elite. Never mind, I make hesitate. This is the good thing, so you can't do because of that. You also have to listen to the other people. How the people are talking about how the real system happening. You have to properly test and justify whether your change is good, really good or not. In this case, you should be able to justify, and you should be able to listen to the other people's comment, other criticism, and then so that based on the different you sometimes you have to make the appropriate amendment. So this is the why destroy the old procedure. You cannot always destroy the old procedure easily. Because if you are everything establish old procedure, go and destroy everything, you start on a new one, that new one will not even meet the old standard. This is the point. This is the point that the point of the communist revolution that they destroy everything, they nationalize, they take out everything, and they are all they have all the food, all the life, they have throw out everything, after they pick out one by one. So you can pick up one by one, you can't get the original value amount. So this is why so not always changing that's a good thing. So the changing system, how the change affect is really impact has to be the monitor, and also the defining the oracle is not always good. Sometimes the old procedure stay better than a new one. So they have to be studied record. Everything are changing every day, so you have to retain the procedure and record for the auditing. So this is for the quality system and changing. Next topic with the management leadership and the project management. So management has a positive role to play in the achievement of the project. So the management means a technical discipline or applying administrative authority to other, which is given through the formalized structural arrangement of the organization. So leadership is the quality of the obtaining the results from others through the personal influence. So the management and the leadership are very related. So the personal influence of the leader is a vital for the success of the organization. So the project manager should possess appropriate skill and training. The formal education and training need to be possessed by the project manager. Okay, so in the meantime, the personality, culture, organizational culture, they are also important for the process manager. The people without any education who control the country or things, so this is a very big problem. In our country, we feel that the things are the person who control the state power got only the post-standard education. So that he do everything all the things. So this is the way that the project manager is the important thing. So the individual skill of the project manager, the formal education and training, and also the personality, experience, the understanding of the organizations are the very important role in the project manager. Because of the project manager role is planning, organizing, directing, the controlling, motivating the people, can do the everything by the power. We have to something how to do motivation the people is also the important factor. So this is the why the project manager is working. So I now give you the detailed analysis of the project manager, their skill requirement and their performance, their role in the organization. As I showed us the project manager role. So management has a positive role to play in the achievement of the project goal. So technically justifying or applying the administrative authority over other which is given through the formalized structural arrangement of the organization. This is we call the definition of management. So leadership means that the leadership of the operating research from the other through the personal influence. So this is the definition of leadership. So individual skill and attitudes are to be possessed by the project manager. So this is for the individual skill and attitude of the project manager. So individual skill and attitude of the project manager is largely influenced by his or her formal education and training, as well as the informal education and training. The basic founders are the Microsoft, the basic founder has not get a doctorate degree from the university, but he can found the Microsoft. Even the doctor who got the thing, who got the doctor, he has to follow the basic system. So this means that sometimes the informal education and training are sometimes can be more than the value than the formal education and training. So this is especially for you are working in the trade, electrical field. So sometimes people who work for the 20 years, 30 years, they know more than the engineer. So this is the really happening. So your experience and your experience are the valuable assets. So second of the formal education, informal education are the personal skills to be possessed by the project manager, and personally the experience that determine the attitude. So the people with the wider education, wider experience, understand people way, they can got a better attitude toward the subordinates. So then this depend on the individual skill attitude. So they are the key roles of the project manager role. So in this case, our project manager has to all the things are constrained on the project manager because of the task. The project manager is responsible for the task, and also project manager has the responsibility for the individual motivation of the team member, organization structure, also influence on the project manager role because the sometimes organization structure sometimes limit the people's capability. So organization culture also influence on the role. So that you are not too because you have to be aware of which organization you are working in, what kind of the culture and the structure you have to adapt to. You cannot determine your own way because of the organization structures are the constraints. The starting discipline you have to follow. So then based on those scale, the management style is established. So that then the management are established and this management will be motivating, controlling, and coordinating, the communicating the people. So those things are the management or the manager role on the people subordinates. So that how does this management style effective has to be tested. So that the more effective management style will influence on the outcome. So this is what the importance of the management structure and the management leadership. So in this case, the individual motivations are very important for the people. So project manager has to motivate the people. Sometimes people need the financial incentives, based on the performance, so in this case, you have to establish the appropriate bonus system. Sometimes people need a promotion, so that the people with a long experience, they need to be recognized that they have the performance. So that in this case, the achievements are the dinners are the established arranged by the project manager in the many company. This is the way to motivate the people. And also the management system needs to be the scientific. Scientific means the science got the answer. Specific way to establish the answer. So this is the scientific. So this is the problem here, how to solve the problem. This problem has to be systematically established in scientific management. So the work study should be steady because of the management project manager has to be aware of the role of the every people, who is doing the what things or what the difficulty or the subordinates are doing, the amount of the task, whether the amount of task, the performance the subordinate is appropriate to the individual person or not. So those have to be aware of the project manager. So those are the important for the scientific management system. So by applying the scientific management system, it can provide a better, it can give a better management influence on the individual team member. And with this individual motivation of the individual motivation, the project manager has a responsibility both to the organization and to the members to ensure that they are provided with a high level of the motivation. So in this case, they are the people's requirements. So some people need financial incentives, some people need recognition, some people need promotion. So based on that, people need project manager should be aware to provide the appropriate motivation system. So in this case, the scientific management. So what should be studied scientifically? In this case, the two studies. What means industrial engineer. Industrial engineer means industrial engineer is they have to do the combined role. So having knowledge, they have the knowledge of the electrical, mechanical, structural or process, but also in the meantime management role. So the work study means the people you do the job, one people do the job and another people do the job, how long will it take, experience people, how many hours, how many minutes will take to do the job. Okay, so in experience people or trainee, how long she take this and to do the job. So those things are individual job analysis. So job analysis, the performance analysis has to be carried out by the industrial engineer. The industrial engineer also has to study the workflow procedure. So those procedures, the study by the industrial engineer should be reported to the project manager. The project manager has to retain the staff in the report. And in the meantime, the project manager has to be there ask the supervisor or the foreman. So the details are detailed action of the job. The worker should be the best scientifically to do the job. This means that depending on the qualification. So for the job is as complex and difficult, and this is full-fledged treatment should be assigned. The training should not be assigned. So job is easier or repetitive. So in this case, the training can be assigned. So this is the ways we have to match the people to the job. So the person carrying the task should be trained to do it as per the result of the analysis. So this means that some tasks are the important tasks, some are the risky tasks. In this case, people should be highly trained. And in the job in Australia, so there are the species of facilities to be operated. And when we enter into the substation, so only electrician license not good enough. You have to get a specific license. Specific confined space area ticket, or there's espresso removal ticket. So those are the specific occupation specific tasks. So specific competency to perform the task. Those qualifications has to be performed on the person. So those person have to do the appropriate task. The person carrying out the task should be rewarded for following the prescribed methods exactly. So this means that sometimes the jobs are very difficult, persons are have to do, sometimes are risky. So those people have to be awarded. You cannot equalize all the things. So this is the way that the socialist system is not successful because of that. They equalize everything. Either you do or not, you get the one thing. So no people want to do the job. So depending on the scale and the performance, the individual will be diverse and different. So different people have to be rewarded properly. So this is the way that the science-based management system. So now that I give you the flowchart diagram, how the science-based management and how the process system, human-centered management are related. In this case, human-centered management. So in this case, their management can be human-centered or material-centered. Like this, material-centered is only based on the materialism. But in the democratic world, the human-centered management is the ability is the way of the democratic world. So in this case, human-centered management is the main thing and the budget for any organization in the democratic world. So to do that human-centered management, to appropriate scientific studies how the human is affected by the environment, or how the job influence the people, how the stress influence on the people, has to be scientifically study. So such studies are related to the human-centered management. In the meantime, the appropriate motivations content has to be aware of. The process your motivation has to be utilized. So these are related to each other and reinforcement of the theory. So not only the theories are put on the board, and they are really have to be utilized by the project manager. So all the rules are not only on the computer, they have to be really applied. So that the human-centered management is really action performed by the project manager. He has to be aware of the motivation. He has to be aware of the process theory motivation. He has to apply the appropriate reinforcement as necessary. He has to be aware of he has to be the knowledge in the scientific study on how the people and the world reaction. Those are the important aspect of the main theory of the work motivation. So hence are based on the main theory of the motivation, the project manager can do well about this. Can understand how the people reaction, so that he can accept the appropriate kind of the qualities and leadership function. So the management leadership is based on the quality of leadership approach, and also not only the individual, also group approach is also important, because the project manager has to work with the other manager, so the group approach is also important, and also the leadership as a behavior category. The people got a different behavior, so the people have to be motivated and have to be instructed according to their behavior. So the project manager has to be aware of the people behavior and has to be set up the appropriate kind of the style of the leadership. And so that even as he put the leadership system, the situation will be different from the time to time. So that depending on the situation and the time, the situation and the approach has to be utilized. So those are the important role of the project manager. Okay, this is the last one. This is the management leadership. So qualities of the leader.